Tonight, high-risk status revoked. Why the man who killed his parents and attacked a nurse has had the designation removed, and what it means for Trevor Farley's future. Also tonight, still waiting.
We just want some answers, that's all.
How neighbors are rebuilding their lives 2 years after a house exploded in Transcona, and the one outstanding question, why? Plus, all aboard.
And I'm excited because this way they get to keep using it but save money while doing it.
Which community is the first to get free public transit for youth? And how long until the free rides roll into Winnipeg?
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
A man who stabbed his parents to death and attacked a co-worker has taken another step towards freedom. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Trevor Farley was found not criminally responsible for the attacks, which occurred back in 2021. However, he was also designated a high-risk accused at the time, which gives extra power to a judge to manage his release and prioritizes the protection of the public. Today, that designation was lifted. Standing by live with the details is CTV's John Hendricks. So, John, why did the judge decide Farley should no longer be considered a high-risk accused?
Marilee, today Justice Champagne told the court he was satisfied there is no substantial likelihood that Farley will use violence that could endanger the life or safety of another person.
Trevor Farley is no longer considered a high-risk accused. Tuesday, Justice Kenneth Champagne revoked the status for the former nurse who was found not criminally responsible in the fatal stabbing of his mother and father and the stabbing of his supervisor, Candace Swarrick, at Seven Oaks Hospital during a psychotic episode.
Ultimately, we say that he made the right decision in this case.
Under the HRA designation, patients can be required to stay in a mental health hospital for a longer period of time and require more security. The designation also meant only a Superior Court judge could discharge the patient.
As it relates to Mr. Farley, as I said, he consented to the designation originally. We got to the point where a Criminal Code Review Board panel felt that it was no longer appropriate for him. We applied to a judge and the judge agreed.
In his ruling, Justice Champagne referenced Trevor Farley's assessment report, which found he has been settled and appropriate throughout his time in hospital. There has been no violence, no aggression, and no bizarre behavior. There are no signs of psychosis, no signs of symptoms of mania. Still, the justice also noted concerns about Farley that came up during his time in care. Staff reported Farley would pace in the dining hall when he finished his meal, rather than remain seated until everyone was finished. When directed to take a seat, one staff member noted Farley would briefly show agitation and roll his eyes. And during a discussion about a change in the hospital's cell phone policy, Farley displayed an angry effect with intense eye contact. In the end, Justice Champagne ruled the evidence fails to demonstrate a high degree of probability that Farley will endanger the life or safety of another person. However, he also told the court, the evidence does support and satisfy me that Farley remains a significant threat to public safety.
With or without the designation, there is the supervision and support of the treatment team. That doesn't change. With or without the designation, he's governed by the Criminal Code Review Board. That doesn't change. So all of those safeguards are in place regardless.
Now, as Trevor Farley's lawyer noted, this change doesn't mean that Farley will leave the hospital tomorrow. Carly Mahoney says it's going to be an extremely long process for her client as he works towards gradual increases in his freedom. She says that it's typically years before someone is looked at significant changes to their liberties.
So what's the next step then for Farley, John?
Justice Champagne ordered a hearing be held with the Criminal Code Review Board within the next 45 days to set all of Mr. Farley's conditions for the next year.
All right. Thanks for this, John. It's been nearly 2 years since a house exploded in Transcona, and still no answers as to what caused the blast. The not knowing is frustrating for homeowners who had to pick up the pieces. 2 of the neighboring homes had to be demolished. Live at the scene of that 2024 explosion is CTV's Jeff Keel. So, Jeff, what does that site look like tonight?
Very different than 2 years ago. Take a look. You can see this is the lot where the house exploded. It is still empty. The houses on either side have been rebuilt, but the scars on this street remain.
His deck on fire, debris all over the place, and his car severely damaged. Carl Lent frantically ran from his garage after hearing and feeling 2 large blasts.
And I looked, I just couldn't believe what I seen. Like his house was gone. My deck was on fire. The corner of my house was gone.
It was June 26, 2024, when Lent's neighbor's house blew up on Camrose Bay in Transcona.
This big kaboom, and the house actually shook.
Nearly 2 years later, the residents on this street still have no answers as to the cause of the explosion that traumatized this neighborhood.
Why is it taking 2 years? Well, like, what's going on with that investigation?
Don't know what to say. I mean, you should have a decision within 2 years, I would think.
Both the Winnipeg Police Service and the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service tell CTV News there are no new updates to provide, and the matter remains under investigation. Plus, the lot where the explosion happened remains empty. Both of the houses on either side of the explosion, including Lent's, had to be demolished. New homes have risen from the ashes, but that rebuilding process has taken time. Lent moved into his new place last Halloween. Work is still being done on the neighbors.
It just doesn't seem like home yet. So we're making it home.
And while everyone here tries to settle in again, it's hard to forget.
Like if I hear like a firecracker or any kind of noise, a car backfiring just makes me jump out of my skin.
Yeah, I hear a big bang. I still kind of flinch or something. It was, there was 2 that I'm sure I'll never hear again.
Police did caution 2 years ago that this investigation could take months, even longer, and at the time, there were no injuries reported.
Jeff, what's happening with the lot where the house exploded?
We don't know, and that's another question that the residents here are asking. What is going to happen with this lot? It is still empty, it's overgrown, there's a pile of dirt on it, and they feel it's unsightly, so they would like to see something happen here.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. A Winnipeg transit driver is facing charges tonight after being accused of being impaired on the job Monday. Police say the driver returned to the Osborne Transit garage around 7 o'clock, where he was confronted by other workers who believed he was impaired. Police were called and he was arrested. The 28-year-old man is charged with impaired driving and refusing to comply with a demand. Police confirmed the charges related to a transit bus and not a personal vehicle. A spokesperson for the city declined to say what route he was driving or how long he had been working for transit, only saying an internal investigation is underway and they are cooperating with the police investigation. An Ontario homicide suspect arrested in Winnipeg last month allegedly made threats towards a local business and the people who work there. It all started May 6th when Ontario Provincial Police found the body of a 61-year-old woman in the township of Greater Madawaska in southeast Ontario. Her death was deemed a homicide, and during the investigation, police learned the suspect allegedly made threats to a business in downtown Winnipeg and was prepared for a violent confrontation with police. That information was relayed to police here in Winnipeg, who arrested a suspect on West Portage Avenue May 12th. A search of his vehicle allegedly turned up a shotgun, ammunition, other weapons, and 3 jerry cans filled with gasoline. He's facing a long list of charges and was handed over to Ontario Police Monday to face charges of first-degree murder and attempted murder. Police are not naming the business threatened here in Winnipeg in order to protect its privacy and because of the ongoing court proceedings. It's been nearly a week since extreme weather battered our province, and Manitobans are still recovering. Tonight, CTV's Harrison Shin has the latest on the aftermath and the recovery plan from government officials.
Gregor Szmajinski co-owns this vehicle repair shop near Transcona. He says he has never seen this much vehicle damage, all from last week's storm.
We got roughly between 30 and 40 calls between me and my partner a day. So he's got 30, I got 30.
Szmajinski says they are seeing all kinds of damage, from dented hoods all the way to flooded vehicles. 7 vehicles came into his shop Tuesday and 4 on Monday, all related to the storm. A City of Winnipeg spokesperson says the storm period is considered to be between June 9th and 10 a.m. on 11th. Between that period, more than 130 downed trees and debris were reported, 137 plugged catch basins on front streets and 47 in back lanes. For the 3 full days, more than 370 sewer backup were reported. 8 basement floodings due to overland flooding were also reported during that time. Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham says the city is investing $45 million per year to address the overflow issues.
Of course, homeowners are advised to install sump pumps, backwater valves in their sewer system as well, to try to do all possible to mitigate.
Manitoba Premier Wap Kinew says the Disaster Financial Assistance Program for flood victims will look different than in the past.
We're looking at ensuring that this DFA program is going to be there for people so that no one in rural Manitoba gets left behind, and that we're not going to let the rules as posted on the website stand in the way of doing the right thing.
Back at RNG Pro Auto Body, it is a guessing game as to when all the vehicles will be fixed.
2 years? I got no idea. It's very hard to schedule. Like, if you're gonna take average hail job, let's say it's gonna take 3-4 days on average. So 30,000 claims, depends how many.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch forecast. I'm almost afraid to ask if that's rain you're tracking once again, Colleen.
Oh, what, that green stuff that's popping up on the radar?
I'm starting to recognize it now. That's how calm it's becoming.
Listen, if it's not rain showers and it's green, I don't know what it is on the satellite radar. So, no, it is some light rain showers falling across a good swath of southwestern Manitoba. Raining right now in Brandon, but also Melita, Deloraine, Verdon, Killarney, all those areas there. Cloudy at Portage La Prairie, but that could change. You can see it's just on your doorstep there, and there is the outside chance we could see showers in Winnipeg. Also, you're noting too probably those flashes of lightning. Any thunderstorms popping up right now are non-severe. That's the expectation. They'll stay that way, although on the other side of the provincial border we do have severe thunderstorm watches in effect for parts of southern Saskatchewan. But it could be a soggy day tomorrow. I'll show you why coming up, but for now let's take a look through the CTV Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now it's cloudy and 23 degrees. Light winds at just 7 kilometers an hour coming from the west-northwest. The pressure is dropping and the humidity right now merely is 35%.
Thanks, Colleen. Traffic had to be diverted in the St. John's neighborhood this afternoon after 2 vehicles collided. An SUV and a 2-door car with smashed front ends could be seen at the intersection of Mountain Avenue and Salter Avenue. The intersection was surrounded by police tape and cruisers and firefighters, as well as an ambulance. They were all at the scene. Police were unable to say how many people were involved or if there were any injuries. Manitoba Workplace Health and Safety is investigating the death of a roofer who died after falling from a roof in Portage La Prairie. It happened Monday morning. RCMP say the man fell 12 to 15 feet off the roof of an apartment block on 14th Street Northwest. Paramedics provided care to the 25-year-old at the scene, but he didn't survive. Police say it doesn't appear the man was wearing a safety harness at the time. A Brandon man is taking the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority and 3 healthcare workers to court, alleging a combination of drugs he was given has left him without any feeling in the lower half of his body. In court documents, Grant Stanton says he was transferred to Winnipeg's Health Sciences Centre in 2024 for cancer treatment. He says he was prescribed methotrexate, a chemotherapy agent, as part of that treatment. His lawsuit says he was later given an intravenous antibiotic, which he says is in violation of standard practice because it is known to keep methotrexate in the body to the point it becomes toxic. As a result of the alleged drug mix-up, which he says was only realized 2 days later, Stanton has no feeling in the lower part of his body, has mobility issues, difficulty sleeping and going to the bathroom, and has suffered mentally. He's alleging negligence on behalf of the WRHA and the 3 healthcare workers who were overseeing him and the drugs he was receiving. He's asking for an undisclosed amount of damages and the cost of future care. No statements of defense have been filed yet. The WRHA has declined to comment. A pilot program bringing free transit for youth across the province has officially launched in Selkirk. Today, dozens of students gathered in the Steel City to hear how the province plans to make life more affordable taking public transit. CTV's Joseph Bernacki explains why those here in Winnipeg are also eager to get on board.
Anything we can do to create a better environment and to help kids and citizens in general ride the transit, we're there for them.
A new generation of riders will take the bus free of charge in Selkirk, thanks to a new pilot program called Next Stop that launched Monday. More than 1,700 students aged 12 to 21 in and around Selkirk now have a free transit pass waiting for them.
This is just icing on the cake now to be able to provide this to the youth in the community.
And the Next Stop program will serve as a model for other Manitoba cities, including Winnipeg, Brandon, Winkler, and Flin Flon, maybe as early as September. On Tuesday, the Premier said more people riding the bus will make transit safer for all.
The hope is that a young person today will start riding the bus as a teenager, and along the way, we'll keep buying more buses, we'll keep improving the transit services across Manitoba.
Students at Lord Selkirk Regional Comprehensive Secondary School say they are eager to get on board in Winnipeg, too.
I will be in Winnipeg. I'll be living there soon with university and all. So that'll be really good if I can live there and continue to be moving around and use the bus, because I might not have a car when I'm out there.
I am going to the U of M, and I still can't drive, so I think it would be really helpful to have free transit out in the city as well.
Meantime, education officials are applauding Monday's rollout.
We really view it as a game changer in terms of removing barriers for kids and for families. Across the board, students are telling us that transportation is one of the biggest barriers to attendance.
The province allocated $10 million in the 2026 budget to provide free transit to youth, but Mayor Scott Gillingham says that might not be enough for Winnipeg.
One of the challenges maybe is that the value may be much more than $10 million, and so just trying to work with the province of Manitoba and our staff so that the province really understands the full cost of such a program that's being envisioned.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Still to come tonight, ready for action.
And that's really what we're seeing around the world. If you're not training with drones, then you're probably not relevant anymore.
CTV News gets a behind-the-scenes look at some of the modern combat training underway as soldiers get combat ready. Plus, a hot mic moment at the G7 captures some sideline discussions between our Prime Minister and the U.S. President. Those stories and more when we return. A new poll from RBC finds more than half of students are relying on loans, and a significant portion don't know how they work. The poll found more than half of students currently use or plan to use financial aid to help fund their post-secondary education. However, 25% don't understand how student loans work, with just 28% feeling very confident they understand how long it will take to repay their loans. Turning now to the markets, crude oil lost over $4. The loonie fell to 71.45 cents U.S. Gold futures added $2.80. The TSX closed 113 points higher. The Dow Jones gained 328 points, while the Nasdaq dropped 307 points. A hot mic moment at the G7 captured a casual exchange between the U.S. President and Canada's Prime Minister, joking and engaging in small talk while also getting down to business. CTV's Mike LeCouture has more on the impromptu lunch chatter and what else happened on this busy first day in France.
As G7 leaders prepared for their working lunch, Prime Minister Mark Carney took advantage of the moment to talk trade with U.S. President Donald Trump. In an apparent reference to the amount of Chinese electric vehicles Canada agreed to let into the country in January, Carney conveyed to Trump how little he believes it would affect the North American market. The agreement with China would allow for the annual import of 49,000 Chinese-manufactured EVs into Canada. In exchange, China lowered tariffs on a number of Canadian products, including canola. Also in Evian, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and lead trade negotiator Janice Charette met with their American counterparts.
We talked about a number of other issues that the United States raises with us, but we also talked about issues that are important to Canadian workers and the Canadian economy.
Now, after securing the deal with Iran, Trump's focus shifted to Ukraine. Following a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky on the margins of the G7 summit, Trump had this message for Vladimir Putin.
Russia should make a deal. Russia's lost tremendous amounts of people, and so does Ukraine.
Ukraine will win. It's just a question of time.
To help make that happen, Canada announced additional sanctions against 162 Russian individuals and entities targeting the Russian war machine. And President Zelensky feels a new sense of momentum towards a resolution.
It's great that everybody's understanding. Yeah. And it's great that Russia is not winning, and we have to push Putin to end this war.
G7 leaders will continue their meetings on Wednesday, but there are no plans for Trump and Carney to sit down together. But as we saw today, that doesn't mean they won't have important discussions, even if they're brief. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, near Evian, France.
Meantime, Donald Trump says the full text of the 15-point interim deal to end the war with Iran will be made public soon. And the U.S. president insisted today there is one issue in there which is non-negotiable.
The one thing that's happening that's of note, frankly, the only thing that really matters to me, is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. And it says it loud and clear. They're not going to develop it. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to do anything with it. And if they do, they suffer unbelievable consequences.
The U.S. president says the text of the Memorandum of Understanding also includes extending by another 60 days a tenuous ceasefire announced in April and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Trump says that will happen by Friday, the same day the framework deal is expected to be formally signed in Switzerland. Hezbollah says it's received assurances from Tehran it will demand a withdrawal of Israeli troops from Lebanon in the next phase of talks with the U.S. Today, Donald Trump criticized Israel's leader, indicating the situation in Lebanon should have been resolved by now.
Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Now, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever.
The U.S. president says he suggested to Israel, Syria take care of Hezbollah. Lebanese state media reports 4 people were killed in separate Israeli attacks on South Lebanon today. Toronto police have seized several unauthorized drones near World Cup events since the start of festivities Wednesday. Yesterday, police detected and intercepted a drone near the official Toronto FIFA Fan Festival. It was the 6th incident in less than a week. One person is charged. Areas around World Cup related events have been declared no-fly zones for drones. Soldiers at Garrison Petawawa, northwest of Ottawa, are completing their final training before being put on alert for combat readiness. Dylan Dyson got a first-hand look at the preparations for both air and ground forces.
Flown into unknown enemy territory, this training is as real as it gets for Armed Forces members from CFB Petawawa. This abandoned sawmill in Quebec's Pontiac region has been staged as a real-life, modern-day combat scenario. Canadian air and ground forces have been tasked with clearing and reclaiming the area from enemy forces.
This is very realistic. We have 3 times autonomous systems in the air, varying sizes of drones, and that's really the biggest thing that the Canadian Army has started to integrate training. We now have drones at the company level. The Air Force has drones accompanying them as well. In their operations, and that's really what we're seeing around the world. If you're not training with drones, then you're probably not relevant anymore.
This training also crucial for Griffin and Chinook helicopter pilots who are learning to plan and execute tactical aviation missions.
We had approximately a month in the field in the fall. We spent another month in the Arctic in February, and now we just finished 5 weeks of training that really focused on patrolling and trench warfare, which is obviously something that we've seen a huge comeback in modern-day battlefields.
All this critical as Petawawa's 3rd Battalion of the Royal Canadian Regiment prepares to move into its readiness stage, where military members are put on 7 days' notice to move anywhere in the world and 10 days' notice to effect any mission.
We are moving into a task, the Global Response Task Force, September 1st of this year, where we become Canada's 911 call to deal with any global emergencies. So this is excellent, very valuable training for that mission that we start.
Certainly, the training has evolved over the last decade plus since the Afghanistan years, and now we're training for a much different battle space in terms of the type of opposing forces that we might come against.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News, Petawawa.
At least one tornado touched down in northern Alberta last night. A powerful storm tore through the region, and a twister was even caught on camera. Oh. Yeah, this was captured in a northwestern Alberta village, damaging homes and businesses in the area. Environment Canada has now confirmed there was at least one tornado, but still no word on its actual size. There were also no reported injuries. And stunning aerial footage shows a wildfire tearing across the hills of California near Los Angeles. These images show flames snaking through parts of Riverside County. The fire measures about 8 square kilometers. Evacuations have been ordered and shelters have been set up for displaced residents. Some hockey tradition in Canada is coming to an end. After 75 years on the air, Hockey Night in Canada will no longer appear on CBC.
And they're going to clinch it appropriately with a total team effort.
In an agreement between Rogers and CBC, which allowed Hockey Night to air on the public broadcaster, that expired at the end of the playoffs. CBC first aired Hockey Night in Canada in 1952 and will keep the Hockey Night brand. Sportsnet, which is owned by Rogers, says it will keep airing NHL games on Saturdays, calling it a time-honored tradition.
I'm Daniel Halmerson. Coming up, I'll share this woman's inspiring journey ahead of the Manitoba Marathon.
Nice mix of sun and cloud on Thursday to start off the long-range forecast with a high of just 19 degrees. That's a touch below normal for this time of year. So is 20 degrees on Friday. Mix of sun and cloud, but there is also a good possibility of showers too. Then we get to the weekend. We brighten up 1 to 21 degrees. Father's Day is Sunday. It's also Manitoba Marathon Race Day. Mix of sun and cloud with an afternoon high temperature of 22 degrees. Clouding over Monday with a high of 23.
The Manitoba Marathon goes this Sunday, and for one cancer survivor, starting the race means just as much as finishing it. CTV's Daniel Halmerson has more on her inspiring journey.
Everybody thinks it's about crossing that finish line, and really, for me, it's the start line. And just getting to be here, and every single step that I take is a blessing.
Running has been a part of Nick Roque's routine for years. But the pastime became a lifeline after a breast cancer diagnosis 14 months ago.
It was devastating, overwhelming, all of the things at once. Your life kind of changes in a blink of an eye.
In the following months, the mother of 4 endured a barrage of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation treatment.
The hardest part is not knowing what your future is going to look like. You can't even deal with the emotional toll until the physical stuff is over.
Lacing up her shoes and hitting the pavement helped Roque battle through those treatments. When her cancer went into remission, she set her sights on something worth celebrating, running a full 42.2-kilometer marathon.
Something I've never done before. It sounds surreal. It's always been a goal that's been in the back of my mind, and here we are. Hopefully I can accomplish it.
Roque is excited for Sunday's Manitoba Marathon and admittedly a little bit nervous, but she's ready for the challenge.
So my mentality was I can go through chemo, I can get through chemo, and if I can do this, then I can run a marathon.
And she hopes her self-titled comeback season inspires other cancer survivors too.
You are stronger than you think. There can be beautiful things woven into ugly things, and this marathon is proof of that.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
All right, Colleen Brady is back now with your complete Skywatch forecast and an update on some rain once again impacting the city.
Yes, and much of southern Manitoba too, or at least if you are in the southwest, you're getting soaked right now. So let me take you through different parts of southern Manitoba and into northwestern Ontario. It really depends on where you are. You can see clearly that rain falling, and in some cases a little heavily there just to the southwest of Brandon. But let me zoom in on that region. You can see a lot of these areas getting that rain coming through. Now on the other side of the border, we have severe thunderstorm watches in effect for much of southern Saskatchewan. We shouldn't see severe weather develop here, but with those watches right up to the border, not entirely outside the realm of possibility. And I'll show you also too, we do have this heavier band of showers and thunderstorms, that cluster of lightning and thunderstorms just skirting past the southwest corner of our province. But here in Winnipeg, it's cloudy now. The chance of showers is not zero. There is still the risk of thunderstorms too. And you can see to the south of the city, there's lightning there. Non-severe thunderstorms. Now out in Piney, it's raining there, but in the Sprague region, there is a thunderstorm passing through right now. Further east into northwestern Ontario, you can see it's a bit of a mixed bag. We have light showers there passing between Kenora and Red Lake, moving to the north of Dryden right now, but clearer in the Kenora area after some light rain passed through that community earlier today. We still have lows out over Hudson Bay, plural, both at the upper levels and at the surface. We still have low pressure, still sending rain into parts of the northeast. That should finally wrap up tonight. The area most likely to see some rain, at least early this evening, will be the Gillam area, but that should come to an end at least within the next few hours. Meanwhile, down here in the south, again, the chance of showers, well, certainly they're falling right now in the southwest, but as for here in the southeast, closer to Winnipeg, not zero. We've got that thunderstorm in the southeast corner of the province, but by the time we get to the overnight hours, that will be well out of the way. Still looking a little soggy in parts of the northeast. Scattered, though, those showers. We get into Wednesday morning. Some clouds right along the international border, a little clearer further to the north, but it should be on the cloudy side, at least to start off the day closer to Winnipeg. But again, we can't escape the possibility of showers tomorrow. It looks like as we get into the early part of the afternoon, if we don't see showers by then in the city, then we should brighten up a bit. We do clear out as we get into overnight Wednesday night into Thursday. Still more showers sticking around the northern part of the province into Thursday. So for tonight, we drop down to 11 again with the chance of showers with the risk of a thunderstorm. Light winds out of the southwest. A chance of showers for the commute tomorrow. Cloudy up to 14 degrees, 19 in the afternoon. Again, with that chance of showers in the early part of the afternoon, some strong north winds, and a UV index tomorrow of 7 or high as we start to brighten up in the afternoon. Quick swing around the province. There's the possibility of fog tonight in Churchill. Gillam showers will end for you this evening. Thompson rather, down to 4 degrees and cloudy. Clouds stick around there, 13 tomorrow. Partly cloudy for Norway House tonight, but cloudy for the rest of the northwest. Single-digit overnight lows, mix of sun and cloud tomorrow with highs in the mid-teens. In the southwest tonight, showers now. Brandon down to 9 degrees, 9 overnight in Dauphin. Good chance you'll see showers there tomorrow, but also some sunshine around Dauphin and Swan River. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight, cloudy with the chance of showers. Better chance of showers tomorrow, highs of just 18 and 19, and then in northwestern Ontario, overnight lows 11, 12 degrees, and then again, sounding like a broken record, showers quite possible with thunderstorms too, although Kenora, you could well see some sunshine too part of the day. Our first weather photo is from Troy, taking us east of Douglas in southwestern Manitoba, a lovely prairie photo there. And this is a really nice shot up at Norway House Cree Nation. That photo was taken by Stephanie. Email us your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
A new report is providing a closer look into disability services in Manitoba and how the province can fix them.
Today has been an interesting day. It's been very emotional, and it's also been a very historic day for people with disabilities.
The report is the culmination of the Integrated Adult Services Pilot Project. It was developed following human rights complaints filed by Tyson Sylvester and Amelia Hampton in 2016, alleging inadequate and discriminatory services for adults with disabilities. Between 2023 and 2025, 33 participants received a new person-centered service delivery model, many of whom reported feeling safer, less lonely, and more in control. That led to 13 recommendations for a complete system overhaul.
We're not talking about navigational help. We're talking better resources, better systems, taking rid of all the arbitrary rules that are out there.
Recommendations include moving from a diagnosis and IQ-based eligibility to needs-based access, income and funding reform to reflect the real cost of living, and moving away from institutional and congregate housing models. The province has 6 months to respond to the findings and implement a plan as part of the human rights settlement. Manitoba First Nations are calling on the federal government to immediately pass an amendment which removes treaty status cutoff from the Indian Act.
No child should lose recognition because of who their parent or grandparent has married or decided to have children with. It's not.
AMC Grand Chief Kyra Wilson says it's imperative Parliament pass Bills S2 before it rises for the summer. It introduces a single-parent rule entitling a person with treaty status to pass it on to their children, eliminating the second-generation cutoff. Wilson and other leaders say there is no need to delay the bill any further.
We will continue to fight for our children, and if Canada doesn't pass Bill S2, they will have a larger fight on their hands, and it's going to be a bigger problem.
The House of Commons breaks for summer Friday and does not return for the fall session until September 21st.
$100 this this is $100 in here.
A new survey confirms what many already know. It is pricey cooking for one. How much more solo households are spending on food in Canada, and what's behind the disparity? It is no surprise your household's spending habits shape your grocery bill, whether you live alone or shop for two or more. And it turns out solo dwellers are paying a price. CTV's John Vinnavelli-Rao looks at what's driving the cost of your cart.
Rice. We bought rice because it's on sale.
When it comes to affording food items, in particular for those living on their own, it can be summed up this way.
It's tough.
While everyone is feeling the pinch in the grocery aisles, the new survey from Interac found 6 in 10 solo households felt they face disproportionately higher per person costs compared to Canadians who split expenses.
As a single person living on my own, I definitely notice.
The survey found the average single-person household spends about $102 a week on groceries, compared to $80 per person in a shared household. Many of those living alone say it is harder to find ingredients portioned for one, and many say they miss out on the savings that come from buying in bulk, in part worried about food going bad before they can use it all.
If you're a single person, you have to worry about space. You're often living in a smaller space. You might have a smaller fridge, no access to a significant freezer.
Single-person households now make up about 3 in 10 homes. Greg Johnson lives alone and says for $100, he used to be able to fill a grocery cart.
$100 this this is $100 in here. You try to buy some yogurt, some lassi, the no-name products. You try to save up on that. Even the laundry detergent, you're trying to save on that. And nowadays I see people making their own laundry detergent, trying to save some money.
The survey found overall Canadians are changing buying habits because of rising prices. Nearly half say they've reduced or stopped buying premium meat cuts, and nearly 4 in 10 said they've switched to store or no-name brands in the last 6 months.
Meanwhile, some note solo shoppers do have one genuine advantage. They can more easily pivot to buying what's on sale with only one person in the household making the decision. John Vinnavelli-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Gardening is an enormously popular hobby, but if you're not prepared, it can come at a cost to your body.
Gardening has a significant impact on our backs. We're putting ourselves in position where we're making it very susceptible to getting hurt.
Dr. Osama Kashlin with Cleveland Clinic says coming off of colder months, our bodies may not be used to doing warmer weather activities like gardening. And it can make us more prone to injuries, especially muscle strains and spine injuries.
When you're doing those heavy things, really use your hips and your legs to do the lifting and to do the motion.
To avoid injuries, Kashlin says to stretch beforehand. A small walk can also help warm up muscles. Then as you garden, keep your back straight, avoid bending and twisting motions, take breaks. And he says to ask for help if something heavy needs to be lifted. Well, it's normal to be sore. Kashlin says if you have pain that doesn't improve after a week, there's shooting pain, or if the pain is causing weakness, seek immediate care. The EU Parliament has passed a ban on marketing plant-based foods as steak, or bacon. The ban, which still needs a green light from member states, marks a win for livestock farmers who argue plant-based foods mimicking meat risk misleading consumers and harming the sector. The text restricts the use of the generic label meat, as well as long list of terms such as veal, pork, and chicken. However, it stops short of a broader ban preventing the sale of plant-based foods as burger or sausage. Consumption of plant-based alternatives to meat products have grown fivefold since 2011, according to data from a European consumer group.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
Oh my God, it's happening. It's really happening. Do you know what that means? I need a makeover.
That's right, it really is happening. Shrek 5 is on the way, and today we got our first sneak peek. Spotlight is next.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Charlie Barron's.
Quilting enthusiasts are descending upon Winnipeg this week for a special event offering workshops, lectures, and even a merchant mall dedicated to the art form. It's called Quilt Canada 2026, and it's described as a confluence of fabric and thread. The multi-day conference is being held at the RBC Convention Centre and seeks to promote and preserve the traditional craft, as well as share new techniques through education and community. The conference runs from Thursday through Saturday. For the full event schedule and ticket information, head to CanadianQuilter.com. Well, everyone's favorite ogre is back.
Shrek and Donkey, two stalwart friends off on another whirlwind big city adventure. Oh, this is bad.
The teaser trailer was just released for Shrek 5. Mike Myers returns as the voice of the titular character, along with Eddie Murphy as Donkey and Cameron Diaz as Princess Fiona. The trailer doesn't give away many details about the plot, but we do see the crew heading out on another adventure, at one point being chased through the streets by guards and thrown in jail. Shrek 5 is due for release next summer, a full 17 years after the previous movie in the franchise. The Recording Academy has added 5 new categories for the 2026 Grammy Awards. Likely the 2027 Grammy Awards. They've already happened for 2026. Now, those new categories include Best Asian Pop Music Performance, Best Traditional Pop Vocal Performance, and Best R&B Collaboration or Group Performance. There's a new category to recognize Latin songs recorded predominantly in Spanish, and there's a new designation for Best Traditional Folk Album. A rare first edition copy of Emily Bronte's novel Wuthering Heights is up for auction for the first time in over a century. Christie's Auction House announced yesterday that this is the first copy in the publisher's original cloth binding to be auctioned since 1908. Only about 250 copies of the first edition were printed, and this one has been in a private library since shortly after its publication in 1847. The book, along with a copy of Anne Bronte's Agnes Grey, is expected to sell for between £400,000 and £600,000 at a June 30th sale in London. Your primetime lineup tonight starts with The Big Bang Theory at 7. Match Game is at 8. And Password wraps things up at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
I'm marrying my best friend at the place that started it all 13 years ago.
Matrimony at the Midway. What led to this lucky couple tying the knot at the Red River X last weekend?
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Highest temperature today in Winnipeg, 23 degrees, just off the mark from where we ought to be for this time of year. 24 degrees is normal. 11 tonight, chance of showers along the way. 19 on Wednesday. Best chance of showers is in the morning, early afternoon, although the chance is low. 19 Thursday, mix of sun and cloud. 20 Friday. The weekend looks nice, low 20s, including Father's Day.
Thanks, Colleen. When it comes to wedding venues, it's not always easy to come up with a unique spot, but a Brandon couple will have guests talking about their ceremony for years to come. On June 13th, Justin Moore and Ashley Hutchinson tied the knot in front of family and friends and hundreds of Red River X attendees right in the middle of the Midway in front of the Ferris wheel. The pair described the out-of-the-box ceremony as a scene straight out of a movie. The X was a dream location for the couple, as it was the location of their first date 13 years ago. Fast forward more than a decade later, and the pair stumbled upon a contest being held at the Esks called Marriage at the Midway, celebrating its 75th anniversary and promoting its new wedding venue called The Gallery. Moore decided to apply, and as fate would have it, was selected for the all-inclusive ceremony.
What was incredible is everybody there that was just there to enjoy the fair, they stopped and they started circling around and watching and participating in the whole ceremony. And the people of Winnipeg were absolutely amazing at the fair and treated us so great throughout the whole day, the whole night. It was something we'll never forget.
Now, the wedding featured a horse-drawn carriage ride, Midway passes for 30 people, a helicopter tour of the grounds, and a confetti bomb, which went off during the ceremony. Well, Moore and Hutchinson had 55 people attend the ceremony. As you heard, they said many more ended up being part of their big day. Although they're still in the honeymoon stage, the couple tells us plans are already in the works to have the ex included in their anniversary festivities. Pretty cool pictures.
That is wonderful. Yeah, so fun for everyone.
And it looks like the weather cooperated, so that's
there
Colleen's wedding gift. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Happy couple. All right, have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.